This is Aiden Aslin now, appearing bruised and beaten, handcuffed in a chair. Today, Russian television aired this interview with the two men, obviously under duress, begging British Prime Minister Boris Johnson to help them in a blatant escalation of Putin's propaganda war.
I remember seeing in the news when Viktor Medvedchuk was arrested for his political affiliations. If Boris Johnson really does care, like he says he does, about British citizens, and he would help pressure Zelensky to do the right thing and return Viktor to his family and return us to our families.
Mr. Boris Johnson, obviously I'm Sean Pinner. A lot's gone on over the last 5 or 6 weeks that I'm not fully aware of. Obviously, I understand that Mr. Medvedchuk has been detained, and we look to exchange myself and Aiden Aslin for Mr. Medvedchuk. Obviously, I'd really appreciate your help in this matter and pushing this agenda.
Ukraine's Foreign Intelligence Service aired their own prisoner of war video of the man that was mentioned there, Viktor Medvedchuk, a pro-Russian Ukrainian politician said to be a close friend of Putin's. On the Ukrainian video, Medvedchuk begs Russia to exchange him for the defenders of Mariupol and for allowing civilians to leave. Now, this is precisely what the State Department was concerned about when they warned Americans not to go. No doubt an American fighter would be an even bigger prize for Putin. Just today, we learned that MSNBC analyst, former Navy man Malcolm Nance, has gone to fight with the Ukrainians. Pinner, Aslin, and their families are all in for a long, dangerous, high-stakes gambit that could span years. The Russians have already proven how ruthless they are, even in the face of international pressure. Pinner and Aslin did an amazing thing fighting for their adopted country instead of leaving and returning to the UK when war broke out. I'm sure they did not do so lightly. But the consequences of their capture now put unneeded pressure on the West to make a deal to get them freed. Joining me now is retired Air Force Lieutenant General Richard Newton. General, thank you so much for coming back on the show. Appreciate it. Are the Brits now going to feel the heat?
Well, good evening, Dan. Again, there are strategic implications here again, our thoughts and prayers are with the families of these two British gentlemen who were taken prisoner, but nonetheless has really ratcheted up very quickly at the highest strategic level. The British will be very coy, I believe, and again, not be outspoken in the press publicly, but internally, I can guarantee you that there's lots of deliberations and discussions to, try to determine from the Prime Minister on down through his chain of command on what to do with this situation. And it's going to stay, they're going to be labored with this for quite a while, as you mentioned.
And, we just learned tonight that MSNBC contributor, national security analyst Malcolm Nance has joined Ukraine's Foreign Legion. He's a Navy vet and says, he couldn't keep talking about the war without doing something about it. Again, enormous respect for that mentality, but it creates a target on his back. He's apparently been on the ground with Ukrainian forces for a month now. Again, for Putin, somebody like that could be a gold.
Yeah, not only does it create a target on his back, but it has strategic implications now for Washington, D.C. My sources tell me, and from what I've been able to determine, there are thousands of Americans who have made requests to the Ukrainian embassy in Washington, D.C. to go down range in Ukraine for the fight. And Ukraine is entertaining not only within the United States, but also within other Western NATO countries. They're looking for combat veterans, especially those who are qualified in helicopter piloting and so forth. So it does raise the stakes along not just from a military standpoint, but from all elements of national security power, diplomatic and financial information as well. As well as Putin is using this as you mentioned, I like the word ruthless, as a ruthless disinformation campaign, not only against those who are external to Russia, but for the Russian people. This is what he calls a special military operation for us to bring back our citizens and our heritage in the Donbass region back into the fold of what I would call Mother Russia. And so go ahead.
I was just going to say it very quickly. My other concern is that the Western media glamorizes it to some degree.
Yes, it does. And it latches on to they're part of the foil. It's a strategic communication play by Putin, who's very good. He's been doing this for years. And so it really raises the stakes, raises concerns, and unnecessarily puts American interests as well as NATO interests in harm's way as we try to, again, sort out who's fighting downrange and who's not. But it really does. A for effort, as you mentioned, with those, volunteering to go, but, F for execution. It's just something we don't need.
Absolutely. All right. General, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Dan.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.